Well, greetings and salutations, everyone. Welcome to the Super Review Show for a little bit of some Friday night action. I'm joined, as always, as of right now, by my good man, as of Earth from the chat, where Mr. Andrew Schultes is here, going to talk some video games with us tonight about what happened during Game Fest with Xbox and Bethesda. I'm leaving it all up to him, but he is here to talk with you guys about some video game news. So, how you doing?
Good. How are you guys? Thank you for having me on the show. It's
Always
been
a pleasure.
while. I think the last time I was on here was for the Game Awards, which was back in December. So about
Correct.
6 months ago. It's a half a year. So we have some interesting news to cover.
We sure
There was
do.
a whole entire E3 has come and gone, sort of. I mean, E3 was technically canceled this year. So, like the couple years prior, developers and Jeff Keighley with the Game Awards hosted a couple streams showcasing off what new games they have to show. So I'm going to start actually with some news that came out a couple months prior. I believe this was around back in April or maybe May. It comes from Star Wars Celebration actually. I know we have some Star Wars fans. JT, I know you're a big Star Wars fan. There was there's a sequel for Jedi Fallen Order called Star Wars Jedi Survivor. It's being developed by Respawn, the developers of the first game, and it is a continuation of the storyline from Fallen Order. I'm not sure if we're going to be playing as well. It looks like we're going to be playing as Cal Kestis because he was the main showing point of the trailer. But there hasn't been any official gameplay shown off yet. It's just been a official cinematic trailer of some of the story that we might see in the game. I just want to bring that because I know the good folks over at Respawn Entertainment, the guys who are making this game, they are working on a multitude of Star Wars games right now. The only one we know for certain in the title is Jedi Survivor. They're working on two other games. One of them is in a collaboration with another studio. This one will be from what I understand, a strategy game, sort of like along the lines of XCOM, I believe. It's like a hardcore strategic operations sort of game. And then the other game Respawn is working on is a first-person shooter. A lot of people were expecting this to be like they're working on a Titanfall game. Turns out they're working on a Star Wars first-person shooter. So I'm looking forward to that because I know from Titanfall 2's experience and from Apex Legends, Respawn knows fairly well how to make a good FPS game. Aside from Respawn, actually, now we also have a fourth Star Wars game from a different developer. I believe some of us may know her from. Her name is Amy Hennig. She worked on the famous PlayStation Uncharted franchise. She has left. I believe her studio has made a new studio, and is now working in collaboration with Lucasfilm Games, and they are working on a brand new Star Wars game. Now the one back when I think Disney first purchased the Star Wars license, or a couple years after, when EA had control of the license, there was going to be seemed to be an open world Star Wars smuggler game. We don't have any other information about that other than like some like brief gameplay and concept art that was shown. Unfortunately, that game was ultimately canceled. Now everyone's saying that the game, or theorizing that the game that Amy Hennig is working on, is going to be probably that smuggler open world game, or it's going to be like a spiritual sequel to that open world game or a successor. So as of now, we have no other information about that. So the only Star Wars game that we know from a major publisher right now is Star Wars Jedi Survivor by Respawn. And that's going to be coming out, I believe, summer of next year. And I believe it's only going to be exclusive to next-gen consoles, and I believe PC as well. PC will have it. But it's only going to be on Xbox Series S and the PlayStation 5. Speaking of Lucasfilm, but it's going away from Star Wars, there is I remember, I think I brought it up last year when Bethesda announced a Indiana Jones video game. We don't have, unfortunately, at this time, we still haven't gotten any more information at this point. I just want to bring it up that this is still on the table as a future game that we see down the line. I'll be speaking about Bethesda later on in the evening, surely because that is something that they did show a lot of their work in the Xbox and Bethesda showcase. But just we won't be expecting any of the Indiana Jones stuff from that. Moving on, about last week or about 2 weeks ago, I think at this point, maybe 3, PlayStation had a mini showcase of what they wanted to show for their upcoming lineup. A lot of this was titles that we sort of knew. It's going to be a new remake for Resident Evil 4. Now, for the Resident Evil franchise, that's one I have yet to play. But I know of the legacy of these games that are very popular. I know a lot of people love Resident Evil 4, specifically that one. The new remake for this one, it looks like it's following the same trend as the other remakes have been doing, where they're improving the graphics tremendously, and I believe also remaking the story from the ground up. Aside from Resident Evil 4 remake, they also showed off Street Fighter 6, the next in the Street Fighter franchise. From what I understand, this one is, I'm not sure because I've yet to play much of. I've played really any of the fighting games, so I can't really comment too much on this one. But I do know that, like I said before, is the Resident Evil franchise. So the Street Fighter franchise is also a very popular one, and it's been a while, from what I know, since they've gotten a new game. One that I am really looking forward to, though, is called Final Fantasy 16. This one, for the main part, I'm excited for because the director for this game is from Final Fantasy 14. We call him Yoshi P, as the fan base likes to call him. I think that's either his in-game name or something like that. But this game was announced back in 2020 when it was first showed off, as before even the PlayStation 5 was shown off. And has since been it's been dead quiet since then. And we finally got a new look for the game, as well as a release window of summer of 2023. I am very looking forward to this one. I've been playing a lot of Final Fantasy 14. I've been playing it for almost a solid year now, and I absolutely love that game. And from what I can tell, the majority of the producers from Final Fantasy 14, including the sound composer, the main soundtrack composer for 14, is working on 16, and it has to be very excited for that game. It's going to be a bit different from what I see from the other Final Fantasy games. It's more going to be more of an action based. So that's something to look forward to. From what I see, the combat is much more faster, and it's not like turn based game that the older Final Fantasy games were known for. It looks like it seems more along the line of the recent Final Fantasy 7 remake. And then something to do is that's why I mentioned, actually, if anyone's actually ever interested in playing one of these Final Fantasy games, not to be intimidated by the number at the end. I know if people say, "Oh, 16, I have to play 16 games now in order to understand the storyline of this one." No, thankfully, no. I would not be able to do something like that. And each Final Fantasy game, each main number Final Fantasy game is just a different universe, essentially. So you can jump in wherever you want in the main, in whatever Final Fantasy game you want to play. If you wanted to play Final Fantasy 7, you go ahead and jump into 7 without having to play any of the other games. There's only a few names that are shared throughout the games, but for the most part, each game is its own universe, and that's something that makes jumping into the franchise very easy and accessible. Moving on to the main Summer Games Fest, because that was something I will be spending a lot of time on. This was I'm going to be honest, a bit of a letdown from last year, mainly because last year had a lot going for it. We got finally a gameplay reveal for Elden Ring. That was the major excitement point of the show. And to be honest, this year there was not much of that excitement. There's a lot of indie games that were shown off. I will talk about a couple of them. And a lot of interesting games shown off. So back during, I believe it was the Game Awards of 2021, or 2020, there was a game show off called the Callisto Protocol. Callisto Protocol, I believe is the name of it. It's made by the developers who made the Dead Space franchise, which is a sci-fi horror game. And from what I understand, now EA is working on their own Dead Space remake. So essentially, we have 2 Dead Space games coming out. One of them made, which is not the Dead Space game, made by the actual Dead Space developers, and another one which is a remake of the original Dead Space that's not made by the original Dead Space developer. I just found that interesting, even though it's not that big of a deal. But these games are known for being like brutally gory and stuff like that, and sci-fi horror. I haven't had too much of an interest to play with them, but I know, like I said before, I'm saying this again, a lot of people love these games dearly. I know, JT, you like the Alien franchise. We got a new Aliens game announced, actually.
Awesome.
This is one, from what I understand, is going to be like a top-down isometric game. It's going to be, it's called Aliens Darkfall, I believe the name of it is.
Okay.
We had a cinematic trailer shown off for it. This is, I believe, the 3rd most recent Aliens game. There was a couple of years ago a very popular one called Aliens Isolation came out.
That one was really good. I didn't play it, but I know people who didn't.
A lot of people played the game because a lot of people loved how scary it was. It's a very it's a horror survival game. And then there was, I believe, last year or 2020, another game came out called Aliens Fireteam, which was like a 3rd-person shooter where you're teamed up with a bunch of other guys, and basically it's like a survival, like wave-based survival game where you have to defend like objectives or like just survive as long as you can. And then this new one, Aliens Darkfall, just got announced. From what I understand, I think it might be like a roguelike, in which in that terms mean you start each game fresh with no abilities carried over, and you just level. You go as far as you can until you die, and then you start all over again and see how you can improve about that. It's an interesting genre of games. I've played a couple of them, and they're quite interesting. But I do know, since you're a fan of the Aliens franchise, I thought I'd bring that up because I know you like those movies.
Yeah, I mean, the movies are great, but Alien Isolation, I mean, like I said, I didn't play it myself, but having watched some people play it, though, I mean, it was terrifying. I mean, that game is frightening.
Yeah.
It's so good. The story's good, too, but yeah.
Yeah, these two Aliens, I believe, Alien Darkfall, I believe is the name of the new one. That's going to be more of an action-based game. What I see, it's like I said, it's like a top-down. You have like top-down looking. You're looking down at the player or the map, stuff like that. Yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe it's not Darkfall. I can't remember the name of it then. But then there's that was something. Dark Descent, I believe is the name of it. Sorry. Yeah, Dark Descent.
Okay. Perfect.
Yeah, that's the ones. Yeah, so see that second image right there. That's what like the game's gonna look like. I see from like this top-down perspective.
Okay. Yeah.
I played a couple games like that. They can be pretty fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's something that's I know a lot of people will enjoy. And then there was moving on from Aliens. There's this other game that I actually recently played the demo for. It's called Metal Hellsinger. This is quite the game, actually. I like I said, I played the demo of it last night. They have a free demo on Steam right now. Hellsinger, one word. Yeah, that's it right there. So this is a rhythm game. So I think like rhythm games like Guitar Hero, stuff like that. What if you take a rhythm game and mixed it with Doom?
That actually sounds pretty good.
Yeah, you have this. You might actually like some of this because they have an original soundtrack in this game, and they got actual metal bands to provide vocals for them. For instance, one of the guys is from the System of a Down. He provided vocals for this game.
That's so cool.
I played the demo of this last night, and I absolutely had like a great time with it. It was very fun. I'm definitely gonna be picking this one up when it comes out. I sent the trailer to my oldest brother, who has like a PS5 and isn't much of a gamer or stuff like that. But like he recognized all the names they showed off from the metal bands in this game, and like he's like very interested in this now. It's I can't remember when's it coming out, but like it looks very fun. As I said, the demo of it is still available, I think, until Monday at the time of this recording. Because there's a really cool thing that Steam that Steam does, in which they show off new games. They have this during the time of E3. They have this Steam Fest where they show off demos that you can download and play. And one of them was for this, and I just absolutely loved how fun this game was. And I'm not much of a metal fan. I don't think you're much of a metal fan either. But man, this game is like insane.
But by the sounds of it, like the fact that you mix like rhythm and like
Yeah, so it's like
Doom. That's great.
You have this bar that like it gets closer to basically you have to your actions are performed onto the beat of the music. And the closer you are to the beat, the more damage you do.
Okay, all right.
So it's and if you stay close to the beat for longer periods of time, you start this building up more damage. You know, this absolutely slaying everything. It was very fun.
It sounds cool.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely gonna be checking that one out.
Awesome.
Let me just pull up some of the notes real quick because there was a speaking of Doom, there's another game I recently interested that's like Doom. This one is set in the Warhammer universe. It's called Warhammer 40,000, 40K Bolt Gun. 40K Bolt Gun. So the I'm not familiar too much with the 40K universe, other than the fact that it's like a very like dark sci-fi. It's not happy at all. What I see though for the video game Bolt Gun, that looks like to be not like a remake, but like a look back at the classic, like very first generation of Doom. So fast-paced first-person shooter. It just looks like very entertaining. I might pick that one up. That might be my jump into the Warhammer universe. That one, it just looked like a fun little like time to spend, or something to spend your time on. And then back to the actual like Summer Games Fest. I diverged there for a little bit. There was some minor reveals. Most going into the show, I believe Jeff Keighley, he mentioned that all the games that were shown off were stuff that had been announced before, so there wasn't too much to reveal, or much groundbreaking news, anything like that. When I was going into the Summer Games Fest, I was like expecting like, oh, Elden Ring DLC. I know like Elden Ring was announced last year. It came out back in February, and everyone's been playing it since. And naturally, everyone's like, "Oh, there's going to be DLC for this game." It makes sense. It would have to. It's like their most successful game. They would have to continue the story or somehow. But unfortunately, that never happened. They never showed up. They didn't show off anything for Elden Ring this time around. Their major ending point, which was kind of weird for me that they ended on this, was a remake of the Last of Us video game. The Last of Us was a game that came out, I believe, in like 2013. No, it was like 2012 or something like that, because it was right before the release of the PlayStation 4. It's a not futuristic, but it is a zombie. I don't want to call it post-apocalyptic. Is what I think what I want to call it. It is a story about about this old man. He finds a young girl who's immune to this zombie. Well, not zombie. It's the whole thing about in Last of Us is that there is these this spread of like mushrooms that affect people, stuff like that. It's all like fungal and like spores, stuff like that. So it's this weird mix of zombies. But they find this girl that is immune, so they're like, oh, I have to take her across the country now to a place that is safe for her. But this came out back in, let me see, release date for this game. It was 2013. Okay, which was like right before the release of the PlayStation 4. So it was a PlayStation 3 launch title, or not launch title. It's a PlayStation 3 title. It won a lot of awards, I think justly so. But at the end of not the end. a couple years later, about I think like in 2016 or something like that, they did a remaster for it for the PlayStation 4, and everyone like, oh wow, that's still like it still holds up today. So the main thing they want to show off now is that they're remaking the first game from the ground up. But I just don't really think that is necessary for something of this nature, because it's less than 10 years old. It's only 9 years old at this point. I don't think that can justify a full remake from the ground up. I mean, I'm sure it'll look good. I mean, but when I saw the trailer that they showed off, I didn't see too much of a difference in how it looked. But I guess something like that. But yeah, I just can't really justify me, like, if I were to spend full price for a game that came out, like back in 2013. It's just like I've seen this before. I mean, like, why do I want to pay for the game a third time at this point? It was just a weird point to end on. Also, they talked a lot about the Last of Us TV show that's coming out. That's starring, like, I think Pedro Pascal is in it. But so they have the big names and everything. It's produced by HBO. But they spent a lot of time talking about that too, which just seemed awkward, honestly. A lot of stuff for the Summer Games Fest. I understand for Summer Games Fest they have a lot of ads in there, because it's not independent, because I think it's done by Twitch Prime and everything like that. But it's not a major publisher or something like that. I'm not sure if I can word this correctly. So there's a lot of ads, like mini stuff in there, but like talking a lot about just a TV show rather than actual games is a bit weird in my opinion. And then let me just look over what else. I remember there was some stuff I was talking to my friend group about when we were watching this live. There wasn't really too much from the Summer Games Fest that was of note. But I would say we should probably move on to Xbox at this point, because Xbox started strong, I must admit. If I remember anything, I'll hop back over to the Summer Games Fest. But yeah, I'm gonna move on to Xbox for a second, because that one started strong. It was there's this indie game that's been out for a while. It came out a couple of years back. It's called Hollow Knight. It's a little 2D. Yeah, there's Hollow Knight. Not that. Yeah, that one right there. It's a little 2D side scroller, but it's known for its difficulty, and its art style and music and everything like that. A couple of years back, it was announced that it was getting a sequel called Silksong. And like Elden Ring and like a bunch of other games, we didn't hear anything about that for years. And now, finally, at the Microsoft Bethesda showcase, they finally showed off a new trailer for Silksong. And everyone was rightfully justifiably excited for that game, because that's something that's been out it's been wanting to come out for a long time now at this point. And it looks much like the original Hollow Knight, but it still looks very fun to play. I mean, I don't think you can really much graphically improve on Hollow Knight, because it has that unique art style and everything like that. But where they could definitely improve on its gameplay, and I think that's what they're going for. It looks very well maintained and everything like that. Everything looks great about it. I might pick up the original Hollow Knight just to see what understand what all the hype is about, because I do understand that a lot of people love this game, and they're justifiably excited for its sequel. So I'm definitely might check out Silksong if it ever comes out. One thing that they did not show was a release date for any of the game for Silksong, but at the start of the show, they announced that all the games that were at the end of it, they announced all the games that were shown off at the Bethesda showcase was going to be releasing in the next 12 months. So we have it. So it's confirmed, at least for now, that within the next year we'll be getting the sequel to Hollow Knight. And then also there was they announced a collaboration with Microsoft Flight Simulator. So they did a hit. So back when Top Gun Maverick came out, they had it in the F-14 as a collaboration with Top Gun. And now, as a free update for Flight Simulator, they added in the Halo Pelican, so you can fly around one of the Halo Pelicans in an actual how it would handle in real life sort of scenario. I just love it when they do stuff like that. But now moving on to another title that has me actually excited because I've been playing a lot of. Forza Horizon 5 is getting a Hot Wheels expansion. So what they did this back when Forza Horizon 3 came out, which had this whole entire like expansion dedicated to having these crazy like Hot Wheel tracks and adding Hot Wheel cars and anything like that. But now they're bringing that back for Forza Horizon 5. They're updating the graphics engine and everything like that. That's what they want. They wanted to see what it would look like in 5's graphics and anything like that. So I'm definitely gonna be having some fun with that because I've been playing a lot of Forza Horizon 5 lately. It's a very fun just to chill and relax game. I'm definitely gonna be playing or picking up that expansion for that. That I believe this one actually is the most recent. Comes out in July. So I'm definitely gonna be looking forward to that. That looks always anything like that looks like a good time. Then let's see what else. They had a new Minecraft video game that got announced for some reason, and I have no idea what this is. It's called like Minecraft Legends. It looks odd, but like okay. It's just Minecraft has always been, like a block game, like place a block, stuff like that. I don't know why they've gone so much into trying to tell a story in Minecraft. But whatever. I remember when we were watching when that trailer was showing off, my friends in the Discord and stuff like that, we were all like joking, it's Minecraft 2. Minecraft 2 is coming out. Which has been like a long joke in the community of that game. And was a bunch of other games have been were announced to be finally coming to Xbox and PC. That's for the Persona franchise. These games have been out for they mainly been PlayStation exclusive stuff like that, but now they're finally coming to PC and Xbox and to those communities who have yet to be able to play it. And then the major talking point for Microsoft and Bethesda was the reveal of Starfield, or gameplay reveal of Starfield. This has been a project they've been working on since I think 2015. It's their next video game. It's a brand new IP from the team that made Fallout. It's basically Fallout in space. It's called Starfield, by the way. And from what I understand, it's as I said, Fallout in space. They showed it off. They showed it off a couple times back in I think 2019. Yeah, the last in-person E3. They showed off the reveal trailer, and then 2021 they showed off like a brief in-engine look, and now we finally have gameplay. And it looks. I personally wasn't too impressed by it. It's one of those games I'm going to be looking out just to see how it handles, because I know it looks like it's going to be repeating a lot of what other games did wrong. There's this one video game that came out years ago, back in 2014, called No Man's Sky. It had a similar fate at launch. At least it's gotten much better now, but I think it was No Man's Sky was that it was overly ambitious, I would say, or at least the head developer was overly ambitious, in which is like seamless worlds, multiplayer, and all this like really cool sounding stuff on paper, but when the game finally shipped, it didn't have any of it. And now I'm worried that the same thing's going to happen with Starfield, because I'm like the major selling point that Todd Howard, the main guy at Bethesda, that he brought up was that it's going to have 1,000+ planets that you can visit, and that did not leave me with excitement. It actually more filled me with concern for the game, because I just don't want a repeat of a bad No Man's Sky level launch. I know from what I saw from the gameplay looked a little choppy, a little plain from what I saw. It's a first-person shooter in a sense, but it reminded me a bit of like Cyberpunk, which is not a good comparison. I know the developers at Bethesda themselves said they delayed Starfield a bit because they don't want it to be like Cyberpunk. But from what I saw from the gameplay wise, it's a bit choppy. It's not fluid. The frame rate was not that good. I think it was like locked at 30 frames, which didn't leave a lot of people impressed, especially when we're getting into the console territory where we can push more than 30 frames. I'm diverging there on tech and everything like that. I'm more concerned than I am excited for Starfield. It might be good. I mean, everyone likes Bethesda. I know a lot of people who like Bethesda open worlds. I know people who still play Fallout New Vegas, Skyrim, and the Elder Scrolls franchise to this day. But from what I saw though with Starfield, I was just left with more concern. One thing I do like though in Starfield though, they have this really cool thing. They have a really cool character design. And I always love a good character designer in video games, but they have this really cool, what looks like a ship design where you can make your own spaceship and everything like that. And that I was like, okay, that's actually pretty cool. That's one thing I want to get my hands on and see what I can do. Because I always love like designing stuff in video games. So it's something that I like. But the rest of the game just has me a little bit more concerned than overjoyed. And then let me think, because that was most of the big news for that. Cause they ended on, or at least Bethesda ended on the whole entire showcase of Starfield. That was like the major selling point. I know they talked a lot about Game Pass. They did talk a bit about a Sea of Thieves, which has been a long-running game. It's like a multiplayer game that you play on with your friends. It's we play as pirates and everything in a fictional ocean. It seems like a fun game, but I've never been able to play it. But then there was a bunch of others. I can't remember Oh yeah, there was this one game called Cocoon that got announced. This is by I think one of the developers of Limbo and Inside. It's a from what I could tell, it's this weird indie game. In which I'm not sure if you're able to find it. It's you play like this little like bug thing that carries around these orbs, and then you go inside these orbs. It's like not like Inception. How that's a stupid comparison. Basically, you just like dive deep. Yeah, that's it right there. You basically like dive deeper into these like sub pocket universes and everything. That it seems like an interesting like approach to gaming. I might check that one out when it comes out, because it does seem like something I want to check out. I do have like a soft spot for some indie games. My favorite indie game of all time, Hyper Light Drifter, is I would say is like except my favorite video game. But so this one here, Cocoon, though, that's definitely something I might check out because it just seems like a neat title, a unique approach to video gaming. Speaking of some more indie titles, there's this one video game called Stray that was shown off at the PlayStation little stream. This one seems actually very interesting. You play as a cat in a sci-fi world where there's no humans left. So he plays a little stray cat and everything like that. I don't know if I'll be able to play this, because when I saw the gameplay, I just got sad not like oh, it looks terrible or anything. No, I think the game looks great. It's just like I can't be able to play it because I love cats, and I just don't want anything bad to happen to the cat. But it's just like a really unique approach to storytelling. Like, oh, you play as a cat in a sci-fi world where there's no humans left. Like I find that to be like an interesting idea. And then it's just something I just don't think I'll be able to play though, because I just like cats too much. I don't want them getting hurt or anything like that, even if it's fun in a video game. And then I think I'm gonna leave off. Let me see. We've been going for 34 minutes. I have to talk quite fast. There's this one video game that I've been liking a bit. That's that Hyper Light Drifter. It got announced that it's getting a sequel that I'm going to be very interested in. It's called Hyper Light Breaker. Now, Hyper Light Drifter was a top-down 2D adventure game. And this one, on the other hand, seems to be more of a 3D approach with a bunch of multiplayer that seems to be the focus. I'm definitely going to check out this game because I absolutely loved Hyper Light Drifter. I think it's one I've gone on record multiple times saying it's my favorite game of all time. It's just very fun. I just absolutely love it. So I was very excited to see that they are making a sequel to this game. So I'm definitely going to be picking that one up. The only thing is I don't think early access for this game, or like a beta or anything like that, comes out until late or early next year. So it's definitely going to be a ways away. But I'm going to be keeping an eye out. I'm also going to be keeping an eye out for other games that I think will be interesting. Like I said, I think EA has not shown or announced anything yet. EA, I think they still have the title or some license rights to the Star Wars franchise. Like I said, because they own Respawn, and Respawn is working on Jedi's Fallen Survivor. They haven't announced if they're going to be doing anything yet in terms of like a live stream or anything, or like a EA Play show or a showcase. If they do, I hope they finally show off some gameplay for Jedi Survivor. That'll be interesting. Any other Star Wars game, though, is going to be probably a year or two before we hear anything. Because I think I've picked up on a trend of how they do these games now. It's like they will announce a title. Like, for instance, back at the Game Awards, when they announced that with that breathtaking trailer for Star Wars Eclipse, set in the High Republic universe, I was actually absolutely blown away by it. That game is probably not going to come out until 2025 at the earliest. Yeah, I see your reaction. That it's like, and I think the KOTOR remake is probably not going to come out until 2024 at the earliest, because we haven't heard anything yet either.
That's like ridiculous, but go on.
Yeah, so it's like what they do. It's sort of like what Star Wars has done now. It's like they will announce a video game and then start working on it. They won't be like work on it in secret, get a product that's somewhat ready to show, reveal it, and then a few months later show it. No, they just like, all right, here's what we're gonna make this, and then dead silent for a couple of years, and then they're gonna show it. It's like, okay, yeah, 2025 earliest for Star Wars Eclipse. It's like, wow, that's, you could have started working on this sooner, guys, I must say. Though I don't want to be too harsh. I mean, it's like they did, I think, was it EA, just like, well, Star Wars, like Lucasfilm Games, just got like formed, I think, back in 2020, where they started branching out to other developers in terms like, hey, you guys can make Star Wars game now, and you guys can make a Star Wars game now, instead of just like EA making them, which is cool. But like, if you're making a Star Wars game, I would feel at least wait until you have something ready to show, or at least have something almost ready to show. That way, when you announce it, you can like wait a couple months, build up excitement, and then show it off.
I completely agree.
Yeah, not like hey guys, here's this thing that we're working on. 5 years later, oh, this is a thing they're working on. It's been years since we heard about this. I just don't understand why. It's a bit like what I worry about what's going on with that Bethesda Indiana Jones game, because we haven't heard anything about that since I mentioned at the beginning of the show. That one's being worked on by the team behind the Wolfenstein franchise. Now, what I know at Bethesda is that a majority or all focus right now is on Starfield. I'm not sure if, because I think, yeah, because Bethesda owns multiple studios. It's like Bethesda owns multiple studios, and then Microsoft owns Bethesda and a bunch of other studios. It's a weird like branching down thing. Sometimes what I know is like some other studios will be pulled in to help out on other franchises or different games. So for like when it comes to the Indiana Jones game, I'm not sure if any of the developers on that game are helping work on Starfield or anything like that. Because I know Starfield, what I understand, comes out next year, I believe. And then after that, they're going to finally start working on Elder Scrolls 6, which is the next thing they get. The last one was like, 2012 with Skyrim. It's been a while. It's like 10 years already. And then after Skyrim, they're going to be working on Fallout 5. So, like, people can't expect the next Fallout franchise to be until probably 2030, I think, at the earliest, in my estimations. Because they spend a lot of time working on video games, and especially for something that's big though as Bethesda, like a Bethesda open world title, is that they have a lot of they want to put a lot, not detail, but they have a lot of voice acting, bug fixing, anything like that. That's something that happened with a bit with like Elden Ring when that came out. That was announced back in 2019, and we didn't hear a single thing about it until last summer, and where it was finally shown off in gameplay, and then it came out earlier this year. So there is some time span. So about like a 2 or 3 year time span between like first announcement, excuse me, and an actual showcase, which is why I sort of have more of a not respect, but like more of a trust in indie developers a bit, or these smaller studios, because they want their game to be ready to show off. I mean, like, yeah, when it comes to those guys, they have to be ready to show what they're bringing to the table, what the game's about, and just ready, and how soon it's going to be playable. Most games, well, most major games now, they will treat a bit like, almost a bit like movies, in the sense in which they wait a long time before they're actually after between announcing it, showcasing it, and then releasing it to the public. For example, back in 2020, when the God of War sequel was announced, and now it's 2022. We got a gameplay trailer earlier this year. No, I think it was last year. I think it was last year. We got a gameplay trailer, and now it's still set to come out later this year. That's probably a more decent of a turnaround time, especially in the sense that that it's one studio working on this game, and most of them, or most other studios, take a lot of time to make something of the scale, especially when it's following up. But when you're doing the sequel, something like that, you know, you have familiarity with like the engine, like the game runs in, what to do for storytelling, stuff like that. You have a stepping stone, essentially. You know where to go to next. But like if you're announcing something brand new or something that hasn't been done yet for a certain universe, it's going to be taking much longer. But I feel, in my opinion, they should probably just wait a bit before announcing to the public, like, hey, we're working on this now. Give us 5 years, essentially. But yeah, that's in realm of Star Wars games. Yeah, that's gonna be a while until we get anything of note from them. So that's why, like, at this point, the main thing I'm looking forward, well, the main thing really to look forward to for Star Wars is Jedi Survivor. There's not much else in terms of other Star Wars games available because there's not much else to see. Like I said, like, you know, that KOTOR remake and Eclipse probably not going to be out until 2025 at the earliest. And then let me see what else I can think of, because
really quick regarding the KOTOR game, is it a direct remake of the 2003 video game or no?
Yeah, it's going to be a direct remake of the 2003 one.
Is it the same story and stuff too, or no?
From what I understand, it's going to be. I believe it will follow the same storyline.
Okay.
Which is something I'm definitely looking forward to, because I do like the storyline for that game.
Yeah.
But when I was talking to Luke about this a while back, gameplay wise, those games have, I must say, have not aged that well.
Mm-hmm.
I've played KOTOR 1 and 2 growing up a lot. So when I replayed KOTOR 2 a couple of years back, I didn't have too much trouble with the gameplay, anything like that. I was accustomed to it because I've been playing for so long.
Yeah.
But for people who are just jumping into the franchise and stuff like that, or it's like, oh, I haven't played this Star Wars game, I'll check it out. And then it's like, oh, this game's old. And it's like, yeah, the gameplay shows it. The game hasn't really, gameplay wise, it has to age. Story wise, I still think it's up on par with what a lot of, like, on the movie, stuff like that. It's very well crafted story, and everything like that. But the gameplay it's outdated, I must say. Which is why I'm looking forward to, you know, like with Jedi Survivor and anything like that, because it's something new, I guess. I can word it like that. With like the KOTOR remake, I'm pretty sure that, yeah, they're doing a ground up remake of everything like that. It's not just like a fresh coat of paint. They're touching gameplay, how the game looks, and everything like that. But from what I understand, the story is relatively going to be the same, which is I'm all for it, because I won't mind. I certainly won't mind. We gain a chance to replay it again in a modern point of view and everything like that. That's not going to be like it was announced like in September of last year, I think, like 2020. And I was excited for it, but I don't think we probably won't see a release date until at the earliest of 2024. I don't think.
Okay.
I'm assuming since we haven't heard anything, I'm assuming at the Game Awards this year we might see more information about it, unless PlayStation wants to do, because it's going to be a PlayStation exclusive. Coming
really?
it's going to be PS5 exclusive for a limited time, and then it's going to be released on PC. It's not coming to Xbox at all.
Really? It's a no console. It's only going to PC.
Well, yeah. Well, it's going to be on PlayStation for consoles. It's
I
not.
see.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's just not coming to Xbox.
Gotcha. I wasn't sure about that.
Yeah, so it's going to be on console first, probably about like a month or so, or half a year at most, and then it's going to come to computer and stuff like that. But I'm assuming at this point, I think in September or something like that, then PlayStation might do another showcase that in the same time span of what they did last year. They might show off more of their lineup and stuff like that in Star Wars games in the KOTOR remake.
Okay.
Yes, it's something that definitely I'm gonna be looking out for, and whenever something comes out, I'm definitely gonna be letting you know about it. That's probably 100% guarantee there.
You better believe it. I mean, you better keep me posted on this stuff.
Yeah. And then there was Nintendo has yet to do anything for their showcase. I do recall last year they did an official showcase in which, because during E3 is usually 1 week in the month of June. Not 1 week. Starts on like a Thursday, the weekend before, or the week, and then goes on the weekend, and then at the latest it'll go until Tuesday or Monday, that following week. Nintendo last year they actually were participating in that, but this year they haven't announced anything if they're doing a showcase or anything like that. But if they do announce something, because I remember last year, the major talking points was Metroid Dread, which came out the same year as announced, and then Breath of the Wild 2 for Legend of Zelda. That was the main talking points or the main reveals for their showcase last year. And as of this moment, they have yet to do any showcase for upcoming titles. I'm assuming they're probably going to be one around July or so, if anything like that. I don't think they're going to do anything the rest in the month of June at this point. Nintendo is weird like that. They want to be independent in their because they're the ones that started not going to E3 first back in I think 2015 or 16. They originally used to have an actual presentation on the stage floor with journalists and everything like that. But then all of a sudden Nintendo pulled away from going to E3, probably because viewership was low. And they just did a virtual direct, as they call it, where it's just a live stream essentially showcasing the new titles. And they will be on the E3 show floor with some titles, but they won't be doing a presentation like the big ones like Sony and Microsoft, anything like that. E3 is essentially in this point a really weird place right now, because this is the third year in a row it was canceled. First year obviously due to 2020, that was COVID. 2021 everything was slightly better at that point, but they had or did a virtual E3 and everything like that. That's when Xbox and Microsoft, Bethesda and Nintendo participated. And this year it was canceled entirely for some reason. I think the organization that runs E3 is essentially is dying, unfortunately. It's been struggling to get viewership ever since, everything like that. So hopefully around next year it's brought back. But what they did this year in terms of in-person events, basically they invite a bunch of YouTubers and journalists and gaming journalists out to California for the Summer Games Fest, That's one thing I definitely appreciate about Jeff Keighley in his Game Awards show. He's done a lot for the community and a lot for the in the genre in terms of video game entertainment. Um, he's always been a supporter for indie developers as well, in which they don't get the opportunity to showcase their games at like major publisher showcase like Sony and Microsoft. He offers that opportunity to new developers and new studios to show off what they have at the Summer Games Fest, and that I definitely appreciate. While also leaving room for big developers to come in and show off what they have to show. It was like with Bandai Namco and From Software was Elden Ring. Yeah, but in terms of E3 though, it's just like it's on like a really slow decline essentially. I remember the last year in 2019, they finally opened it to the public. Because before it was closed off, you could not get tickets to go to E3. It was something that you had to be invited out for. And then like the last year they had it in person, it was open to the public, and then it just stopped after that due to the COVID and everything like that, unfortunately. So hopefully by 2023, it'll be back. But at this point though, I think. Because I know Phil Spencer of Microsoft, I believe he strives for like having in-person events. Because I know that's what he did with his showcase. Even though Microsoft and Bethesda they had a virtual showcase and anything like that, he still invited people out to Microsoft, and I believe in California, it had a virtual. Basically, he talked to those guys there and showed off what basically we saw, and then hopefully, and I know he's been like an advocate for stuff like in-person stuff, like events like that. And I know Jeff Keighley in the Game Awards, Game Awards came back as an in-person event last year, and I do believe he's going to be doing it again this year in later December. So I'll be keeping an eye out for that. And I think we'll definitely be doing another live stream for the Game Awards this year because that's something I always like doing.
Oh, you better believe it. We'll do it.
That's going to be a fun time, definitely. It's always fun to talk about the Game Awards. Because essentially the Game Awards is like an E3 except for one day in the middle of December. They have a lot of reveals showing off there, so I'm definitely gonna be watching that. I think I'm gonna leave off there for now though, because I'm not sure what else there is to cover. Yeah, as always though, if anyone else has any ideas, they can always leave in the comments or the chat board or anything like that. But that's all I have for me for now.
Is there anything else you want to share at all? Like as far as like just generally speaking about the game?
About games I've been playing, I can talk about definitely.
Yeah, sure. I mean, truth be told, you are Mr. Elden Ring. You want to talk about that for a second?
Yeah, I'll talk about Elden Ring.
For full disclosure, everyone. So every time I see a text message from him, it's about Elden Ring.
Let me pull up something real quick on my computer.
Sure,
I'm not gonna because I have two computers on me right now. I first got Elden Ring. Let me see. Back on April 24th. So let's see it's not even June 24th. It's not even 2 months ago. Want to guess how many hours I have clocked in Elden Ring so far? Try to take a guess.
How many hours you played it so far?
Yeah, because Steam keeps track of how long you've spent in the game.
And I'm going to say 24 hours. I'm probably wrong.
It's at 97.5 hours.
Jesus Christ.
And I've yet to beat it.
Oh my God.
It's that big of a game.
Wow.
It's so good. It's
crazy.
It's everything I wanted from a From Software game. Because I got into From Software games with Dark Souls 3. Okay. After I played that, I played just the vanilla game, just base game, no add-ons or anything like that. I went then and played Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice, back in late 2019 through majority of 2020. And I absolutely loved that game. And then last year, about November last year, I was talking to my friend group. Now, I have this friend who is a big fan of a book series by the author Brandon Sanderson. and I was talking with him, and I always keep trying to get him to play like Dark Souls 3 and anything like that. I absolutely love the game. I also say it has like my favorite soundtrack for a video game of all time. I was talking to him about Dark Souls, and he was like, "All right, tell you what, I will play Dark Souls 3 if you read a Brandon Sanderson book." So I like, okay. I then posted my next thing I told him was like I ordered the book, and he's like, "Okay, I guess I gotta play the game now." But it's so funny because Elden Ring was made in collaboration with author George R.R. Martin. He helped make the lore and the worlds for this game. Then Miyazaki took over, and then From Software took over the world creation and everything like that. My friend and I, basically there's a rumor going on, sort of confirmed at this point, that Brandon Sanderson, the guy who I read a book for when I get my friend to play Dark Souls 3, is working on the next From Software game. So that's just like a really happy coincidence, because I actually absolutely loved the Brandon Sanderson book I read. So I'm definitely looking forward to see if he ever actually like helps work on a From Software game. Because when my friend played Dark Souls 3, I played along with him essentially. I replayed through the game. I got both DLCs for it. And basically when he needed help, I just came and helped him defeat a boss or anything like that. But basically that just rekindled my love for that video game. And that just made me all the more hyped for Elden Ring when that finally came out. And I must say that Elden Ring, though, it's absolutely a fantastic video game. And then I want to bring up, I mentioned Final Fantasy 14 earlier. That's a game I have a lot of hours in as well. I've been playing a lot. I haven't played it recently. Last time I played was back in early June, because I'm like, okay, I want to focus on Elden Ring now, so I'm just going to stop playing Final Fantasy for a bit and just focus on Elden Ring. Final Fantasy 14, though, that's something I've been playing a lot of. I remember I got it last year, about in June or so, or July of last year. And I've been playing that, like, not nonstop, but like playing a lot. So it has like the story in that game is absolutely phenomenal. Absolutely love that. And then lastly, actually, remember when we did do you remember when we did the first video game discussion? We talked a lot about Stardew Valley. It's a little farming video game.
I think it's Stardew Valley, you said?
Stardew, as in one word.
Oh, whoops, sorry. I'm terrible at typing, everyone. Sorry.
Yeah. Do. Yeah, there it is right there.
Oh, no, got it. Oh, yes, of course. How can I forget?
So this is the game made by, I mentioned, it's made by one person. All like graphic, music, anything in that story, all made by one guy. He's working on a new game that got announced, I believe, earlier last year called Haunted Chocolatier.
Okay.
It's the general premise of it is that you own a chocolate shop that is haunted, and that's the main premise of the game. That's definitely something I'm definitely gonna be looking out for, because there's like some hidden magic in like Stardew Valley that just makes it like the story of it is just so fun to play. I'm definitely gonna be looking out for that one when it comes out, or Haunted Chocolatier when it comes out, because it's just a wholesome, feel good game, and that's something you need every once in a while, especially if you're playing like first person shooters or like Dark Souls or something like that. It's just a happy, like, feel good game is always something you need. And then of course the story for that, they just throw in a twist, it hits you in the gut, and it's like, oh wow, that I wasn't expecting that. Because like what Stardew did, they have these character stories and everything like that. Yeah. And on the surface, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, it's a happy game, but like each character has this really like deep backstory and everything like that, and I just absolutely love that. Or getting to discover stuff like that.
That's awesome.
But yeah, that's really all I have to say for now. But yeah, other than the fact Elden Ring, very good, go play it.
Awesome. Do you have anything else you want to share at all, or you're good?
I think I'm good for now, actually. Other than the fact that I just want more Elden Ring content.
I mean, hopefully DLC comes out soon, you know?
Yeah.
Or some sort of extra package at some point, some capacity. So it's funny. I just as we're doing our show right now, I just checked my Snapchat, and your brother's playing it right now.
Yeah, I saw it.
So it's too funny. I mean, based
Yeah,
on what
because
I've seen, it's an incredible game.
I recently helped him build his PC so he can play video games as well on his
It's awesome.
like high end stuff. And one of the first games he bought for his computer was Elden Ring. So we've been both playing that a lot.
I am dead. That's funny. So, but that I mean, is that you're good, right? You're all set.
Yep, I'm all set.
Perfect. So, anyways, that's gonna do it for us tonight. Thank you so much for watching, and listening. However you enjoyed us. We don't do these that often, but when we do, we always have a good time. Thank you so much for streaming us as always, and we hope to see you guys. If there's a video game that we didn't mention about that was not covered or whatever, jump down the comment section below. Or if you're listening to us on Spotify, hit us up with the tweet or follow us on Instagram simply at the Super Review Show. Check us out. We'll see you guys later, and stay safe and take care.